Welcome to Doing the Work podcast, the podcast for advanced Dr. Joe students to gather together to discuss, explore, and learn as we forge the river of change. I'm Lorelai, and along with my co-host Amanda, we are grateful to have your time and attention for the next 45 minutes. Today, our guest is Wendy. We are excited to speak to her again. We had such a beautiful episode interviewing and learning more about her. So we really encourage you to listen to that as well if you haven't already. And today we have a very special episode because it is Mother's Day. And all three of us are mothers. And Dr. Joe's work has really impacted the way we parent and the way we see each other as women, and the big topic of identity, womanhood, and motherhood. So buckle up. This is going to be a lot of fun. But before we start, we always love to start with a beautiful heart coherence to get us all in the spirit of things and connecting our hearts. So I am inviting Amanda to go deep into her woman, mother energy and get us all connected here.
Thank you, Lorelai. Thank you. Yes, let's take a minute, settling into our hearts, slowing our breath, and relaxing our bodies. Breathing in into our heart and exhaling, feeling our heart expand. This fourth center, our seat of creation, expanding out and connecting my heart with Wendy, Wendy with Lorelai, and Lorelai back with me, creating a space where we hold each other in love, in joy, and creation. And letting this expand out further to our listeners, to our community, and sharing this beautiful experience that we have. The honor of being in this 3D world and holding a 5D perspective. Let's take one more deep breath in and out, and coming back to this time and space.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
So good. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on our last episode, I was talking about how I would have loved to be parented by Wendy. She's such a great mother example. And as I was saying, it's Mother's Day or Mother's Day weekend. Earlier, we were in a inner science meditation in honor of Mother's Day, turning our love inwards. And I wanted to start talking about that. I had this beautiful experience with my youngest son that is almost 5. He likes to do these meditations with me, and he always falls asleep. And as you know, it's such a beauty to have your little one that's almost growing, but still has that little baby feeling in their bodies to just kind of fall asleep next to you. It was very beautiful. So I was really reflecting on what an honor it is in this world to have the experience of motherhood. And I would like to start us talking about how the work has impacted the way you see yourselves, your own identities as women, as mothers, and how it has impacted the way you parented. So maybe we'll start with Wendy.
So much. Oh my goodness. Like, it's just such a joy to know they're going to be okay now. There's so much less worry. Oh my gosh, there's just so many things. Right off the bat, I'm reminded of telling the kids how, trying to explain them that they had control of their lives. And this was before I'd gone to a retreat. I just read the book. And you can make your life, safe. Just imagine you'll be, trying to explain to them, right? The stuff you guys already know. Going to school, I'm safe and protected. My teacher's going to be nice to me today. I'm going to, and just believe it, like trying to explain to them, talk to them. It's so much fun, isn't it? But we were at a Halloween carnival, I remember last year. And one of them was like, so if you can manifest anything, we never win the cakewalk. Let's go win a cake. And I was like, you're on. Let's go win a cake. We go over there, and I kid you not, we've been going to this thing. I have 3 kids. So I've been to like 11 of these Halloween carnivals. And this is the last one. And we go to the cakewalk, and I'm like, closed my eyes. Just imagine how happy I was going to be. And I told her what we're doing, and let's do it. And we're walking around the circle. This is going to be amazing. It's totally going to work. It's totally going to work. We sit down I'm in my seat. I'm like 2. I'm ready for it. And he calls 10. And everybody's quiet. And then you hear, wait, what happened? Hold on, just sit still a minute. She's like, we didn't win. I go, hold on. Nobody's in seat 10. Yeah, do it again. And I'm like, we got this. They pull out another number, and it's 1. And I'm 2. And I'm just like, and the cutest little 3-year-old, I think she was a bumblebee, is sitting next to me. And I'm like, sweetheart, lean forward a little. I think you won. And I'm like, oh, no, it's 13. And then somebody yells, number 1 is empty also. And we're like, go again. And now I'm looking at the kid. He's probably 8 years old. He's pulling the number. And I'm like the only adult in the cakewalk here. And I'm with there were a couple other adults, but mostly it's kids. I'm looking at my kid, and sure enough, he pulls it out. And he's like, 2. And I'm like, I knew it. And I looked at my little girl, and we're jumping up and down, and we're hugging. We're so happy. But the best part of the story is her little sister then tells all of her friends, we're going to win the cakewalk. My mom told me how to manifest a win. Yeah. And they go over to the cakewalk. And now I'm just like, oh, come on, we can do this, right? Get this. And I'm like, trying to do it for her. But I could tell from my anxiety and my worry that it was probably getting in the way of it, But I look over, and before I can even blink, the music is playing, and they're walking around the circle. And I'm just like, let go. No control. Let go of the worry. Let go of it. Let go of it. She's got this. And I can't see or hear anything. But next thing you know, they're jumping up and down, hugging. They won. My daughter won. We have been to this thing for 11 years. We have probably spent a couple $100s on this stupid cakewalk trying to win a cake over the years. Never won. And that night we won twice, 2 in a row, 0 losses. And she manifested it for all of her friends. You can't make that up. And she did it. And she learned right there some very basic principles. I told her how it works. And anyways, sorry, start off with a big story, but it just is so.
This is the best story, getting your kids to believe. Come on. This is what we're trying to teach them.
Yeah, 11 years of talking statistics and probability. 11 years of, we never win the cakewalk. I don't want to spend money on that. Let's do something else. Just a totally different style of parenting and trust. And even I notice now at these carnivals, I'm not worried. I'm not micromanaging. Where are they? I'm like, they're having the best time ever. And I love it,
This is really good. I actually love doing this with my kids too. I like to challenge them with this stuff because a lot of times they'll be like, oh, the big one last year was a cat. Lorelai's going to laugh because we already had 7 cats. We live in the country, just so we're all clear. But my daughter wanted another cat. She wanted an orange cat. And we're hanging out in our driveway, just hanging outside. And and it just happened. I think Dr. Joe had done the little 20-minute changing boxes lecture, and I had it on. And they weren't like sitting paying attention, but they were hearing it. And so I asked her, I was like, well, did you hear the lecture? And she's like, yeah, I heard it. Yeah. And she's heard me talk about changing boxes and that we've drawn pictures and all this stuff before. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go on Facebook looking for a kitten, but maybe you could change your box into a different. She's like, if I change my box, will you let me get it? I was like, yeah, I'll let you get it. And she literally just turned around, sat down where she was, And then she got up and she's like, okay, I did it. And she wanted an orange cat. She wanted it right before her birthday because she wanted to have a kitten to play with at her birthday party. And literally, I think it was just a few days later, we were at a friend's house and her son, she just came in. So that's why I had to pause. She's like, she knows I'm telling this story. Yeah, her son comes out and he's like, did you know we had kittens? And we were like, really? Kittens?
You're
And they
like,
have
of
orange
course
cats.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm like, they're not orange cats, are they? Of course they're orange
of
cats,
course they're orange. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but she uses that as evidence now where she'll be like, I manifested a cat. Like, I can do this. Like, I hear her say that. And that to me is like, okay, like, I can just relax
You are
because she
such a
has
good
the
mom.
evidence.
That is amazing. She's going to be okay the rest of her life. She has this base, this base. This is, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, this work really has changed so much for parenting for me too. Like, it's just, I love what you said about the not worrying. That was also just such a huge piece for me. All of a sudden I was like, oh, no, my life is about me. And I get the pleasure of enjoying their company and being with them and just trusting that they are on their paths, they're on their journeys, and this is, and I get to set up this space where it's safe. I have all this control now, that feeling of like when you I remember when I first had my babies before the work and just feeling out of control. Like I couldn't control anything anymore. The world wasn't safe. And then here comes Dr. Joan and it's like, oh, wait, hold the phone. I have complete control. The world is perfectly safe. We can go wherever we want. We can do whatever we want. This isn't a limited existence anymore for me or for them.
Well, I have a very big story, so to say. My little one that fell asleep with me today as I was doing my Mother's Day meditation. He's on the spectrum and he was in the first group after the research where we were doing coherence healings on children with autism over Zoom. And I have found out about this research when we went to the AFU in Denver. My first retreat was a progressive, and it was in Denver. And then my week long was in Niagara Falls, and Amanda was there with her kids, but I hadn't met her yet. And then we met in Denver for the AFU. And so it was special for me because that was a progressive I went to, and then I went to the AFU, and it was at the end of May. And my little one's birthday is June 10th, and we had gone through this very hard 3 years because he was suffering and we didn't know why. He cried every single day from the morning. He would have these really intense episodes. I didn't know why. Nobody could offer any explanation. When he was little, he was colicky. When he was older, he was teething. He was learning how to talk. He just had a terrible personality or whatever. And I could see him and he was not okay. Like he was suffering. I don't care what people are saying. He was suffering, not I. So I found Dr. Joe's work when he was about a year and a half old. And then I managed to be directed into looking into autism in March, at the beginning of March. And towards the end of May, he had gone through a lot of tests and it was more and more definitive that yes, he would have autism. And it was such a big diagnosis to contemplate. It's a lifetime thing. And I went to this retreat in Denver and I heard that they have just completed research on boys with autism all over the world through Zoom, participating in coherence healings, and they had amazing results, which the parents were asked to report progress. It wasn't the doctor's opinion, it was the parents' opinion. And that is really impactful because only a parent can know if their child is doing well or not. So that was a very special moment. And I remember being in that ballroom and hearing about this, and that they are going to start opening up to coherence authorized groups. And then I met Amanda that was in my same authorized group. And now Wendy is in the same authorized group. And, we were talking in the earlier episode about making friends at retreats. I remember the moment I saw Amanda. It's like, it's in my brain, in my heart. This is me crying now, but that was such an important retreat for me. And I remember looking for her. She said she's wearing a yellow sweatshirt. And I was looking for like a really bright yellow. And she was wearing more of a pale yellow. So I was really looking and trying to figure out, is it she? So I just remember you sitting there next to one of those windows, and we just connected right away. And yeah, that retreat changed my life. And after my son went through the coherence healings, he just did such an amazing progress, where we couldn't even go on a walk around the block because he would just get into this meltdown and we had to go home. And our family is in Europe, so contemplating a 12, 13-hour flight with a child that you can't even go around the block was a big thing. And as soon as we started the coherence healings, I remember the first day that he didn't cry. He was already 3. It was July 4th. We were at home for the whole day, and he did not cry. It was getting close to nap time, and I thought, what has just happened? He's been up for 4 hours and he didn't cry. And then I watched it throughout the evening and he didn't cry. And after I put him to bed, I did a go love. And then I had a good cry for myself and my family because, it's been a hard 3 years. I never really realized that it's been 3 years of every day seeing your child crying. And not crying, but like hitting himself in the face, throwing himself on the floor, having an autistic meltdown. So this Mother's Day was really special to have him being so safe, and he is so loving. He's always saying I love you. He's saying I love you to his teachers. He knows that when somebody is good to him, when he's feeling safe, he goes to them and he says I love you. Whether it's a teacher or a friend or even just someone at the store, he goes and he says, I love you so much. And he puts his hand on his heart. So, sorry, I'm so, so emotionated, he used to say.
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
Just hear him saying that. I'll give you a minute. Oh, I'm going to start. Okay. I thought I was going to be able to talk. Moshe is truly the most beautiful heart. And I have been able to share space with him. And gosh, anyone that comes into his presence knows that he is an angel walking around on earth.
And that's why I'm so grateful to this work, because we couldn't see this. Everything was suffocated by the symptoms of his condition. And now most people, they go, oh, I didn't know he's autistic. Because you wouldn't know unless he is being challenged, his environment is being disturbed, but he can do so much. And we talk about the benefits, the manifestations, the things that this work has brought to our lives, and they're so beautiful. But as mothers, to have your child sort of to be able to see beyond the veil of what's apparent and to see what's inside and beyond that, it's just everything, isn't it? I'll forever be grateful to Dr. Joe for the millions of hours he must have put into this.
Thank you, Lorelai. I love that so much.
It's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I can't even imagine. That had to be like you were saying about being a mom. You don't even realize you're not feeling great until you feel great. You don't even know. 3 years, you look back and you're like, it was, oh my goodness, Lorelai.
It's really powerful. It's such a powerful story. And I think that there is something really special about how when we have this perspective change into the 5D and we see our kids for what they really are, we don't see them as, the responsibility. I mean, we love them, but all of a sudden we see their divinity and we see that they have this purpose and this experience that their soul came to intend to experience on this earth with us. And that brings a very deep level of sacredness to me for parenting. I feel like that is
so big, so big.
Mom's crying. Mom's gone wild.
It's Mother's Day. Mom's
girls gone wild. It's like
it's
when
beautiful.
moms go wild, they
Moms
just cry.
gone wild. They just cry.
I just cry. Like, okay, we made it.
Yeah.
No, it's so amazing. I was hugging my middle one this morning, and I was just like telling her how much I loved her. And thank you so much for picking me, because they say they pick us, right? And I was just like, I'm so lucky. How did I get so blessed? Oh, but we're all blessed. But yeah, some days I can't even fathom, it's just, you can't even fake that gratitude. It's just so big, because somebody was saying something to me the other day, toxic positivity. And because everyone's trying to be grateful right now. I gave it some thought. It was interesting. And I think I got what she was saying and why that term is getting some heat right now. But, the end of the day, it's all good. It's all like for the right reason. And if we're complaining or criticizing, then there we are. Stop it right now, and catch yourself. And
I have so much to be grateful for with the parenting aspect. I'll share this little bit too to add to the theme of parenting, motherhood. One of the big gifts that I've gotten from this work and aspect as a mom is a relationship with my son, who is not in this realm. I had a pregnancy with twins when my second was born. And I won't go too much into this because I know we talked about this before, but what has come out of it was not only just the miracle of not being overwhelmed with grief every day, of kind of always seeing one child and thinking of another one, but also he comes into my meditations and he comes to events, and I see, and I'm like, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I have this immense relationship with a child that I have a very hard time explaining how happy I am with the fact that, even though he is not in this 3D form, I know him in this really amazing way. And I don't even feel the lack anymore, the lack of his, voice or body. It's really, truly
so real in your heart.
It is so real. And I'll share this. I remember one time, this is kind of early in the work. I was still in the work, but I was giving my daughter a bath, his twin, and I just suddenly was overwhelmed with this idea of like I had never held him. It just came out of nowhere, and so I started crying. And my daughter looked at me and she was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "Well, I want to hold." I was like, "I miss your brother and I would like to hold him." And she was like, "He's right there, Mom. And he says, I love you. Just tell him." And she's as mad at me as she can ever be because she's just so annoyed that I can't put this together in my head. And I just started laughing because I kind of knew what she was saying, but I didn't know, like it hadn't happened yet. So this must have been 2023, the summer of 2023, because it was in Dallas of 2023 where he came in so strong. And I had experienced him, like I kind of felt but he came in so strong. And I had this joyful experience with him. And it was just this complete, like everything's okay. Like we're here. Like we know each other. We love each other. We know each other. We understand each other. And since then, it's been like that. Like he comes in during healings. He comes in all the times. And I will share this in Cancun last fall, or not fall, February. He came in during the last healing, and he came in as a 7-year-old boy, which is the age he would be. And he laid on my chest and I held him. And
You
I
got to
just
hold him. Oh my
yes,
gosh.
I held him, and I could still like see his head resting on my chest. Like I can see that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's so
That is such a powerful visual and sensation. Like as a mom,
I'm
you
so
just
happy for
let the
you
weight of that baby on top of
on your
you, right?
chest and
It's
his
so
head. And you
Yeah.
got to, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And I just, so yeah,
mystical experiences.
mystical gift, like still just this awe, right? Like,
Wow.
how is this my reality now? I don't understand it, but I'm not like, yeah, I'm here for it. And wow, like it's just amazing. It blows me away. It really does. So there's my
Yes, that's a tearful.
tear moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful thing. I think that it's important to share. Again, Wendy and us, we were talking at the beginning about finding our people and how you can't have these conversations in the real life, quote unquote. But I think it's so important to just say it, that we can have experiences that are just as real to us, and it's all about opening our hearts and opening our minds to it. And then we can feel the weight of that baby on our chest. And, it doesn't take away from what happened, but it does offer a way to enrich our perspective, right? Our experience right now.
Yeah, it's almost like getting this understanding. Like Dr. Joe says, when you get to that point where you look back and you're like, I wouldn't have changed that, because you understand that through that journey and through that process that you went through, what you gained was this lesson that you would have never had. You would have never understood. I would have never understood what it was to have that level of joy in having an experience with my son, because I would have been focused on a different way of him being. And, of course, one of those things, because it's so sensitive, right? And I remember not sharing that story for a long time because I didn't want anyone to think like, you make assumptions. But then once I understood, like, this was a healing moment for me. This was a healing of grief. And it was an understanding of like, I don't have to carry this grief every single day anymore. Like, I don't have to identify as a parent who lost a child. I can now, be a whole person and have a whole experience just the way it is. Yeah.
Wow. And I heard Dr. Joe say once before, tell me if you've ever heard this, but the 5D can be more real than the 3D because and it reminded me of when you read a book versus watching a movie on the book, how the book becomes so alive because it becomes part of us in our interpretation, and we create everything that's not on the
That is
screen.
such a great analogy.
And
I
we watch
love
a
the way
movie
you
and you're like,
explained it.
it's missing so much. It's a great movie, but
Yeah, the movie's always flat. And when we're reading the
book, we have that visceral, that 5D sort of feeling of completion for the story.
yeah, I love
So
that.
tell us a bit more about talking about identities. Your kids are older now, and you're utilizing this work perhaps to create a new identity for yourself, and you're going back into writing. Tell us about the parallels between creating as a mother and creating as a writer. You're still creating life.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. You guys have some great questions here. It's interesting because I've always gravitated towards writing adult and kid storylines that overlap. I wrote a script once and I won a contest with it. It was a long, long time ago, but it was about a girl who was cutting. So now, a couple of the things, I'm working on. It's weird how I didn't realize it at the time, but spirit, the universe, God was always part of what I was doing unconsciously. But now it seems like when I'm working or creating or writing that it's kind of conscious, where I'm working on this one story, and it was a bedtime story I used to tell my daughter. I'm like, this could be a series. I'm going to write a pilot and pitch the series with some arcs, And so I was working on it with her, and I started bringing in one of the blue beans, and her friend was hurt, was in the hospital, and this blue bean. Anyways, whatever. And so I tell her the story, and she's in bed. The next day in morning, I was like, so I kind of changed up the bedtime story a little bit. What do you think? She's like, I loved it. I can't wait till tonight. So it's funny because, to your point, it's different in such a fun, in a really exciting way. And to notice too, like sometimes spirit plays with us. We were at another kid's carnival where now my daughter's a little older and she was working this carnival. So afterwards we got to play some games, and I told her we'll spend like $10. She really wanted to win this purse, and I told her what to do. She's getting through the tickets. They're almost gone. No purse, right? She got like maybe one ticket left. She's trying to win. She doesn't win. They say, get the prize. She reached down to get the prize and pulls out, mind you, sometimes parenting takes some twists and turns, but she pulls out a wad of tickets. And she says to the lady, who's dark, it's a carnival, and she can't really see, this was in the bucket too. Can I have it? The lady barely looks at her and says, yeah. We walk away, and she had $50 in tickets in her hand. She said, yes, I guess we could play with it. Maybe it was $25. I think it was 25 because I wasn't like, we have to give that back. It was 25. I was like, I think the universe just gave you 25 more tickets to win your purse, And she spent so many trying to win this purse. And finally I was like, maybe we're supposed to play some other games. So we went around and played some other games. Long story short, she got one ticket left. We go back to win the purse. And does she win? Of course she wins the purse. So I said, it's beautiful. You had faith. You stepped away. Just remember that, how sometimes spirit will maybe giving us, there's a lesson to learn. We have lessons to learn. And I don't know what that is for you. I don't even know if I know what it is for me, of course. But how beautiful that we had this night together. We had more than our 10 tickets. We played a bunch of different games, and you still got to take home the little purse, like, because you had faith. Because there were 3 points in the night where we stopped and did little quick meditations where she visualized.
That's interesting, though.
And felt
she stopped
happy
3 times for
but
meditation.
Yeah. And because the first time, she didn't win, and she got the tickets, and she's like, what am I doing wrong? And I was like, well, Dr. Joe, I says, maybe we're just not good enough yet. We got to keep trying. So let's try again. And maybe it's not going to happen. But remember, you want it. You don't need it. You want it, but you don't need it. Just keep that playful. But it's so fun, isn't it? Anyways, it's one of my favorite stories because sometimes we were, am I doing it wrong? Is the universe teaching me something here? Like, what is this?
I'm just going to say that you want it, you don't need it. That is gold. That is gold right there. That's amazing. I love this. Sometimes it's been a while since we've done it, but my kids will like to save up their quarters, and they want to go to a vending machine and get little cheap dragons out of their machine. And at one time they were like, okay, they wanted specific colors. They had very specific colors they wanted. Should we make it an experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, it was such a good lesson because it wasn't like every single time they got exactly what they wanted, you know? Okay, well, you didn't get what you wanted, but now you get to choose. Are you going to get upset about not getting what you wanted, or do you want to put energy into the possibility of getting what you want?
Nice.
Okay. You know, so they had a little back and forth. It was good for me, actually. It was really good for me
Nice.
because it's easy for me to get like like it's like I want it to work for them. And then
Right.
just
You
to
want
sit
it
that.
so bad to work for them. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
And I'm
like,
like, oh, I might mess this up.
So let's talk a bit about identity. We kind of promised we were going to talk about this. So let's talk a bit about identity. It's a big one. How did the work impact who you thought you were supposed to be? Because as we were saying, there is no higher stereotype in kind of putting one in a box in society than motherhood. The next level of it is being a woman that has a lot of expectations and stereotypes, and being boxed into what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to be a woman. It's just funny because most times it's men that tell you how you're supposed to be a woman. But then you become a mother and you see that, oh my God, there is a much advanced level of what you're allowed, so to say, to be or not to be. And how has the work allowed you to be you as opposed to all those other identities?
yes, that's a good question. I think I'm still working on that. Otherwise, I would have had a quick answer. But in just this past year, I've noticed I'm finding my voice again. Oh, it sounds like I'm losing it though, doesn't it? It's interesting. My identity got kind of wrapped up in victim, and I had not spoken to my mom in a while, and I hadn't visited her in a long time when my dad passed away, and a whole bunch of good reasons, right? I always got really good reasons, and she had really good reasons too, and everything. And um, a long story short, just doing blessing of the energy centers and the meditation, I wasn't even trying to mend this relationship. This wasn't even something that it was just like it was what it was. But Easter last year, I wanted to fly her out here to see the kids and to hang with us. It was genuine, okay? She wasn't quite ready for that. We had a conversation. I said something that upset her, fifth degree, ugly words, hung up, mean text, and it was beautiful. I read this text. I was like, oh, my poor mom. Didn't get defensive. It was genuine, you guys. I was not mad or hurt at all. And if I showed you what she wrote, oh my gosh, like it was pretty bad. It was horrible. And all I felt was my poor mom, because she knows she said that to me. Right. So some time passed. She starts speaking to me again via text. And I said, can we come out for Christmas this year? And she was like, yes. So I have not been home for Christmas in over 10 years. And my kids were all, my best friends were all, no way, don't do it. Like my husband was just like, who are you? My poor husband. He left me for someone younger. Me.
Shout out to the husbands.
Right. It's like he's all of a sudden got his second wife. But yeah,
Just
it
keeping
was
things fresh,
yeah, this old thing I identified with of who I was, and I was a very serious parent. I was doing what was best for my kids, and I don't know if this is quite the answer that you wanted, but this was one of the most beautiful Christmases of my life. Every day went well. The second to last day, my oldest daughter, who she's in 11th grade, she goes, I can't believe how good this vacation is going. She's like, this is crazy because she's 17. She's been around, where's grandma? Like when everything was happening and all my reasons. And I told him the truth. I kept it real about some stuff that made me very hurt. And, it wasn't, but whatever. And, you guys, this stuff is like, it's a crime. This is being kept from the people in the world. Like it is a crime. This isn't being taught in schools. It is absolutely not okay. Like it's plain and simple. People are hurting. You drive down the freeway, people are honking, cutting each other off, throwing slander at the grocery store. And it's parents hurt each other, kids at school. The parents get into it. It is just an injustice that this work is not at least introduced as an option. For this podcast, I asked my kids, I said, what do you guys think I should share with them? Owl. They wanted me to tell you about the owl. We're walking the dog one night. We're walking down a cul-de-sac, and it was right out of Harry Potter, you guys. I got the Great Dane in one hand, the daughter in the other hand, and at the end of the cul-de-sac, you see this gorgeous owl swoop down into the cul-de-sac, and he is eye level with us. And then he's flying right at us, and then he goes below eye level, and he's like flying right towards my heart. And I am just so happy, zero fear. What my daughter told me later, she's just like, he came all the way down right to us, and the last moment swooped up above my daughter's head. She said she could feel the wind. And isn't that gorgeous? Like these things that happen, and there was zero fear. And like, she had a little fear. She told me she was a little terrified, but like, we were at a football game, the kids cheering. We were going, grandma's with us. We realized we don't have an extra ticket. We're in line. Someone said it's sold out. We're still in line. And I looked at my husband and kid and I said, don't worry. We're in line. We're in line. This guy joins his wife in line behind us, says to his wife, so-and-so's not coming, says to me, does anyone need an extra ticket? Like, just the little things. There's so many. We're at Sky Zone. We're at a birthday party. Someone comes in. They go, there's parking enforcement's giving tickets. Everybody run out. I go outside. Every car has a ticket except mine. Like, what happened? What happened when he was at my car? Did his phone ring? Like, Dr. Joe swooped in and said, leave the white car. It's just such an exciting life, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
It really is.
You had asked about mystical experience. Wait, I have a Taylor Swift story and a mystical story. Which one do you want?
Mystical or Taylor Swift? I don't know. Mystical?
It's a cruel summer.
So
Love that.
I'm new to this, and you guys, I'm very different. Like, palm readers, spirit guides, none of this.
We should throw you out of LA, I have to say. You don't have your no crystals, no palm readers. Like, you've been here for 20 years. That's illegal.
Isn't that funny? It's just, I was in my bubble, I guess, and I wasn't against it. I even have a beautiful crystal that I wear, but it wasn't like I went and checked things out or anything. Anyway, so at the retreat, everyone's flying to take that drug to have mystical experiences. And I had a mystical experience where it was just fantastic. It was just peaceful, epic. It just felt incredible, where these like dancing blue and purple lights were kind of coming in and out, and they were dancing together for the longest time. And then a white one came in and the purple one left, and it was there. It was really long. It was beautiful. But the interesting part was I watched a documentary on what's happening with these people who are, wanting these experiments and taking the drugs. And they showed
the
a visual,
ayahuasca.
yeah. And they showed a visual interpretation. And what this lady had was, they showed exactly what I saw on a screen. And I was like, no, this is what I saw. But mine was much longer. And of course, some engineer was trying. Yeah, some engineer was trying to adapt what the woman had explained. But this was a controlled experiment. These people were like in like a hospital bed, controlled when they were taking the ayahuasca or the DMT or whatever it was. And it was exactly what I saw. But then, like, guides, I had never really heard of spirit guides. And someone told me you just can create a relationship with them. So I've started writing, and then I asked them if they felt comfortable. I would love to meet them. Show yourself, guide. And I guess they're with us all the time, which is incredible. But one night I was meditating, and it was just the most beautiful experience. This gentleman, who I think is probably with me now, who must be with me all the time. And then I realized it could be my dad, who was my best friend, and I lost him. And that maybe was the body that he was in before he was my dad. But this gentleman, he was right here. He kind of turned and looked at me. I could draw him. He was just beautiful, kind of like, hello. And I was like, hello. But as you can tell, I'm high energy. He was gone pretty quick. And then a couple weeks later, I got to meet this beautiful woman. She was beautiful. She was very much a woman, but like a lion woman. And I could draw her too. It's just, and I've never seen a Disney or Avatar, any of these movies, a creature as unique and beautiful and just so loving. Oh, she was just gorgeous. And that's the only way I can describe her. She was a lioness. Like, yeah, but she was definitely a woman, very feminine. So, okay, so at the Dr. Joe retreat, we're doing the healing. And I might cry when I tell this story. We're healing a gentleman, had just finished, and our blindfolds are on. And I saw clear as day this young woman, maybe in her 20s, with a pink beret, who looked like all of my daughters, a little bit like all of them. So I don't know who it was. And one of them has a pink beret, and one of them, it looked the hairstyle of, and the other, it kind of had some face of. So it was definitely a combination of the three of them. But she, right there, like I could touch her and I had my blindfold on, but there was no blackness anymore, you guys. It was pink, and my beautiful little daughter's face and her beautiful hair. And she smiled at me like, don't worry. And she laid down to be healed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, and everybody was like, it might mean nothing. And I'm like, it wasn't your kid. but
It
right,
means a lot.
right there, it was like she was telling me, don't worry, when the time has come, I will get healed. I will do this. I will come to the retreat, or I will heal myself or something. It was just, you guys, she was right there, and it was my baby. It was powerful. It was the last day, and it was really cool. It was just such a gift for Source Spirit God to show me that vision, and just for me to see my child at my feet, ready to be healed.
I can tell you're a storyteller. I love that. I love it.
Love it.
I think we did answer your question though, Lorelai, about the identity, because we don't identify as mothers, just mothers anymore. We're these mystical super beings walking around. That is what it was for me. It was like, okay, I actually just don't have an identity.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
When I first started the work, well, before I started the work, I finally went to therapy. And that was the first thing that became apparent. I thought that was just postpartum depression, but it turns out there was a lot more than that. But that was the first thing that became apparent, that I didn't have an identity that I could trust. It was just what I thought I should be or do. And I went from trying to find my identity, so to say, to a place where I don't have an identity. I'm just existing.
It's
It's
so
very
beautiful,
interesting to me.
Lorelai. But you're in the moment, right? It's so beautiful.
I think we discuss this at times when it comes to being in that generous present moment. When you add the fourth dimension of time, and then you feel the totality of who you are in a vertical time. Dr. Joe talked a lot about going through dimensions and all of that, and the fact that we exist all at once, our past, our future, all the possibilities, they're all at once. And I feel that when you go deep into a meditation and you're so full of yourself, like your actual self, you feel the totality of yourself. You're full of you, and there is no identity, because there are all the possibilities of all the different experiences you can have. And it's the most freeing experience. I think especially I felt it from the pressures of expectations of being a woman, of being a mom, of being this, of being that, to the freedom of the fullness of everything you could possibly be, and just kind of resting in it, the way you were talking about breathing into that mystical experience so you don't scare it away. Just being relaxed into it. And even though it feels like you're going to burst almost from the fullness of who you are, but being able to sit with it, it's just been such a gift. Talking about turning your love inwards is so beautiful to experience that.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
I love that. I just had this thought, because you were talking about your experience of the healing and seeing this person that was kind of a combination of your daughters and healing her. And it instantly brought me back to that, because that last AFU we were at, he was talking about the dimensions. And one, it reminded me of how he was talking about how he was having all these dimensional experiences and his son was having dimensional experiences. And there was kind of this like silly
Yes.
weirdness happening between them.
It's amazing.
But it just made me think, like, no, who knows? Like, whatever that experience, that means, like, maybe you healed her in that dimension, like, I don't know. It could mean so many things. And that's why I think it's so amazing. But I just thought that was such a cool story that you told. And
Thank you for that insight, though. Thank you. My gosh, you guys, happy Mother's Day. You both are a
Happy
gift
Mother's
to the
Day. You were
world.
so inspirational. And I hope that we connected with that mother energy. And I hope that all the men that get to listen to this can also connect with us and help us connect to that oneness as well. In today's community meditation, Dr. Hillary was referencing how when Dr. Joe did the live meditation with Mailan, it was that combination of the beautiful woman energy and the masculine energy. And it's true, those meditations are so powerful. Tuning in with your heart, that also has her.
yeah.
Changing boxes with her. I think that combination of the energies, it's really beautiful. So let us end this amazing episode connecting with that full energy, and I invite the men that are listening in to help create that oneness and that duality as well. So if you can, please close your eyes, put a hand on your heart if that feels good. And let us bring our awareness to this sacred place, to this portal into 5D, to this place where we can feel oneness, wholeness, the unified field. And with every breath, let us drop into our first centers. Let us connect to the earth, to creation, to the energy of life. And I invite everyone to feel gratitude for their own mothers, for being a mother, for children that are teaching us to be better human beings, that are allowing us to step into the fullness of our souls, of our bodies. Let us breathe this energy from our first centers up through our bodies, through our hearts, through our throats, and expressing our love for being alive, for being parents, for being parented, for the village that surrounds us, the community, and expanding further into our pineal gland. Let us be connected further to the universe and receive all those messages that are dear to our hearts, and expanding further and further. I can feel my heart connecting to Wendy and her beautiful mother energy, so playful, so joyous, so loving. Connecting to Amanda and her nurturing and loving energy, her mothering, feeling back to my heart, creating this big bubble of love that we are expanding to everybody listening in. You are loved. We love you. We are all love. Creating patterns in the field. Getting ready to open our eyes and see the world a bit brighter, a bit more loving, a bit more nurturing. Thank you for this beautiful experience. Thank you for creating new life and for creating these beautiful human beings that are an elevated consciousness into the world. And let us be joyful for the new generations that are coming in with all this love and coherence.
Thank you, Lorelei. And I'm only going to add, it's wonderful to feel your nurturing, your safe, your warrior mother energy
Ooh, that's beautiful. I agree. Thank you, Lorelei.
around us, completing this. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I love you.
I love
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Amanda. Thank you, Lorelei. I love you both. This is amazing.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It's very important and it's so beautiful.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No. Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
No, thank
I
you.
insist.
I think that's our ending clip now.
Perfect.
I love that.